The wrong foods break down your gut barrier, letting toxins leak into your bloodstream. And the worst part? Well, some of these foods are probably the ones that you've been told are healthy. If you've been feeling run down, constantly tired, or just not yourself lately, the chances are inflammation is the hidden culprit. Most of the inflammation in your body right now is coming from your gut. But don't worry, it's not all doom and gloom. If you cut these 5 foods out that we're going to go through today, things can turn around pretty fast. But there is a little bit of urgency to this, and you have to act now because in 2025, these foods are becoming more common than ever. So we're going to break down the 5 foods that are driving this inflammation in your body and then discuss what to eat instead. Okay, so the first food that you want to make sure that you're cutting out is something called rancid oils. I mean, the clue is in the name, right? But these are commonly known as seed oils. And as I said, this one should be a complete no-brainer because seed oils like canola, sunflower, and soybean are all highly unstable and oxidize quickly. Literally, by the time they hit your frying pan, they are already damaged. And when you eat them, as well as inflammation, they drive something called oxidative stress. And that happens at a cellular level in your body. Forget the whole omega-6 versus omega-3 debate for a second. The biggest issue with these seed oils is that they're oxidized, and that means trouble for your cells. So the simple switch that you want to make is to swap these seed oils out and eat more butter, tallow, or ghee. And if you can't do that, then even olive oil is better, just as long as you don't overheat it. The second food that you want to cut out is emulsifiers. Now, if you're not sure what these are, don't worry, because I was completely oblivious to them for years as well. But these are the sneaky ingredients that they add to your snacks, your sauces, and your dressings. And the problem with these emulsifiers is that they tear up your gut lining. And we've got the studies to show us that these emulsifiers are disrupting the gut barrier integrity, letting those toxins leak into your bloodstream and raising the amount of inflammation. So the simple thing that you can do here is grab the package, turn it round, and look at the ingredients list. And if it's got emulsifiers in it, 3-point it straight in the bin. I'm going to become immediately unpopular for saying the third one, but I wouldn't be serving you correctly if I didn't mention it. And that's alcohol. Now, listen, I get it. I love a drink as much as the next guy. But here's the thing. Just one drink a week can drive inflammation up. You see, alcohol is directly responsible for raising something called C-reactive protein, or CRP for short. And this is a key indicator of inflammation in your body. And listen, you don't need to be a genius to figure out the solution to this one. You can either quit drinking, I mean, that's going to be the best thing for you if you're serious about improving your gut health and reducing the amount of inflammation. But at the very least, what you can do, and what I have done recently, is switch from drinking normal alcoholic drinks to the zero beers or wine or spirits or whatever else you enjoy. I know this one sucks, but listen, it's not for me to tell you to stop drinking. Your relationship with alcohol is yours and yours alone. All I can do is advise you based on the science and based on the facts. What I have done recently is started to introduce essentially seasons where I don't drink. So I'll go 12, 16 weeks, maybe sometimes even 6 months where I don't touch a drop. Now that doesn't mean I'm not socialized. It doesn't mean I'm not going out with friends. It just means that when I'm going out, I'll either have a coffee or I'll have a soft drink. Or the best thing to do, if you really want to be in those social situations, but you don't want the awkward conversations, which, let's be honest, none of us want to face, and we've all been in that situation before, is to switch to the 0% beer. My personal favorite is the Corona. This isn't a plug for Corona. I am not sponsoring this video, although if they fancy it, I mean, hit me up for sure. But in my experience of trying a lot of those zero beers that are on the market, that's the only one that I can have 7, 8 of them if I really want to, and I don't have any side effects. Like if I have, for example, a Heineken Zero and I have 3 or 4 of them, the next day I will still feel a little bit inflamed and bloated. I will still feel almost a little bit of a hangover. Whereas if I have the Coronas, nothing. Anyway, like I say, this is just my personal opinion. Make your own mind up. But if you are serious about improving your gut health, about reducing inflammation, about reducing the amount of toxins that are leaking into your bloodstream and getting rid of that stubborn belly fat, trust me, your liver, your waistline, both of these things are going to thank you for at least reducing, if not swapping out or even cutting out completely the alcohol for an extended period of time. Because after all, they don't call it a beer belly for nothing. Number 4, I think we're on 4, is MSG. So this is a flavor enhancer and it might make your takeouts taste a little bit better. But here's the thing, it's also a neurotoxin and it's going to inflame your fat tissue. And MSG, a little bit like the seed oils that we talked about earlier, increases inflammation at a cellular level. And when that happens, it makes it much harder for your body to burn that stubborn fat, particularly around your midsection. But listen, I don't want you eating bland food for the rest of your life. So the solution is actually pretty straightforward and simple. Swap out the MSG for herbs, spices. Number 5 is going to be a little bit of a controversial one, and I want to be very specific when I talk about this. And that's because it's dairy. But I'm not talking about all dairy, because not all dairy is created equally. The type of dairy that I'm talking about today is specifically something called A1 milk, which unfortunately is most milk in the United States. And this is because it contains something called BCM7, which is a type of protein that's been linked to gut inflammation. Now, again, as with most of these foods, the best thing that you can do is be aware of them so you can start to look for solutions and build them into your life. And the best thing for you to do if you are affected by this, if you are in the United States and you find out that you're drinking A1 milk, is to switch to A2 milk, or the slightly more expensive but healthier option is to switch to European sourced dairy. Now, I can't speak from personal experience on this one because, truth be told, I haven't been to the United States in 19 years, which is absolutely wild. I'm definitely overdue a trip. However, I do coach a lot of clients across the whole of the United States, and once I did my research into this and we started making this switch for them, they found that their gut health drastically improved. So when I started this video, I said that I had 5 foods to take you through that you wanted to cut out, or at the very least reduce the amount that you were having. However, since I started recording this video, I've thought of another 3. So let's get into those. So number 6, and I'm afraid, unfortunately, it affects you guys in the United States again, is gluten. However, just like dairy, just like the milk that we talked about earlier, not all gluten is created equally. And I don't want people to finish watching this video and then suddenly decide that they've got a gluten intolerance, because actually they've done the research on this and found that I think it was 98, maybe it was 97, don't quote me on this, % of the people who thought they had a gluten intolerance actually didn't. It was completely made up in their heads. But what happened is they then cut out the gluten, and then, like most people do, because let's be honest, we all bloody love bread, they slowly reintroduced it back into their diet. But because they cut it out for so long, now they had developed a gluten intolerance. However, there are some studies that have shown that gluten from US wheat can trigger inflammation, even if you're not celiac. Again, European wheat is different, and as a result, it's less inflammatory. So if you find that you're feeling puffy, let's say, try cutting gluten out for a couple of weeks. If you're still with me, fair play, because in this video, I've already told you to cut out alcohol, bread, and milk, which isn't the easiest of news to deliver. And like I said, I knew I wasn't going to be popular making this video, but at the end of the day, I'm here to serve, I'm here to support, I'm here to improve your health. And if you are enjoying the video, I would really appreciate it if you could take 10 seconds, not even 10 seconds, 2 seconds out of your life to tap the subscribe button that's just underneath this video. It really helps the channel to grow and to reach more people, which at the end of the day is my mission. So thank you very much in advance. You're going to hate me for saying number 7, but with this far down the rabbit hole, we might as well finish the job. Unfortunately, it's processed meats. Bacon, sausages, deli meat, they're all convenient and delicious. Processed meats are loaded with preservatives and compounds that trigger massive amounts of inflammation. And studies consistently show that eating processed meat is directly linked to increased levels of CRP. Remember earlier we spoke about that C-reactive protein? And unfortunately, down the road, that can lead to heart disease, weight gain, and even cancer. Now, I want to be very clear here, because a lot of people still buy into the myth that red meat is bad for you, but it is nothing more than a myth. True story. This happened because back in the olden days, I say the olden days, I'm talking like 10, 20 years ago, red meat used to be mixed in with processed meat when they did studies on it. So when these studies were concluded and they found the results that we've just talked about with increased risks of heart disease, cancer, and weight gain, obviously that's going to be very scary for a lot of people, and people are naturally going to associate bad, negative consequences with eating red meat. However, ever since then, they have now isolated the red meat from those studies. And when you do studies on red meat on its own, it's actually shown not just to be neutral, but to be beneficial for your health. And that's great news, because it means if we swap out the processed meats, the bacon, the sausage, the deli meat, which I know are all delicious. And by the way, remember here, what I'm saying is we're talking about reducing. We're not necessarily talking about eradicating or eliminating these completely from your diet. But if you reduce the amount that you're having, you're going to reduce the inflammation and improve your gut health, your mental health, and your overall health, and swap these out and replace them, if you like, for lean meats, for steaks, for chicken, for lamb, if you want as well. That is going to drastically improve your health. Last but by no means least, number 8 is trans fats. Now, listen, I take no pleasure in recommending people to cut out food from their diet that they enjoy, particularly because our relationship with food is very individual and goes deep down to a psychological level. However, of all the food that we've spoken about today, if I have to recommend one above all else for you to seriously consider removing, reducing, eradicating, whatever you want to say, from your diet, it would be these trans fats. Trans fats really are the devil. And just like the devil, they're sneaky and they're dangerous. And you'll find them in fried food, pastries, and a lot of packaged stuff. The easy way to identify food that's high in trans fat is to look at the package and find the expiry date. If it's 2, 3, even 5 years in the future, then you can bet your bottom dollar that it is very high in trans fats and you want to steer clear at all costs. That is the exact purpose of these trans fats, to extend the shelf life of a product. But they wreak havoc on your body by raising the levels of bad cholesterol and inflammation. And the crazy thing is that even tiny amounts can lead to problems like insulin resistance and heart disease. So if the expiry date says 2030, or the label lists something called partially hydrogenated oils, you know what to do. We're aiming for that 3-point again, straight in the bin. Look, at the end of the day, your diet shouldn't just help you to maintain a healthy weight. It should fuel you to thrive day in, day out. And it even has the power to support your mental health. I really wish that I'd known what I've just taken you through today 10 years ago, when I thought it didn't really matter what you ate, as long as it fit your calories and your macros, you could do whatever you wanted. Now, of course, don't get me wrong, if it fits your macros, IFYM, whatever the heck it is, it does work in theory, because it's very true. Scientifically, as long as you are in a calorie deficit over a period of time, you will lose weight and body fat. But theory isn't reality. And in reality, if you do that, you'll probably just quit on your deficit in a couple of weeks. The food that we've talked about today is awful for you. And what's particularly alarming is that it's only getting worse. Because not only are the macros horrible, with high levels of saturated fat or even trans fat with almost no protein, but the impact that it has on your endocrine system, your hormones, is devastating. Your insulin and your glucagon, which control your blood sugar levels, your cortisol, which controls your stress, your sex hormones, testosterone and estrogen, and even your hunger hormones, leptin and ghrelin. That's just a few of them, but all of them are going to be negatively impacted if you just hit your calorie target, with no regard for the quality of the food that you're eating. You'll sleep worse, you'll crave more food, you'll never feel full, you'll have more brain fog, less clarity, you'll be more irritable, you'll just be a worse person. And the truth is, there isn't a perfect diet. There's no superior meal plan. There's no one size fits all, because we're all different. We all live in different places, like different foods, have different budgets, come from different cultures. You name it, there's so many variables. So what I've done instead is come up with a system with 5 golden rules that anybody can follow. And here they are. Number 1 is that you want your diet to be balanced. And that's because all 3 macronutrients play an important role. Protein fills you up, it stabilizes your blood sugar levels, and supports your immune function. Meanwhile, carbs are actually your body's preferred source of energy, and fat supports your endocrine system, your hormones. Number 2 is that you want your diet to be omnivorous. Listen, you don't need to be following extreme protocols like vegan or carnivore. You want to be eating plenty of lean meats, fish, and eggs, but you also want to make sure that you're having plenty of fruit and vegetables. Number 3 is that you want your diet to be nutrient dense. This is becoming more important every year. Like we talked about today, you really want to focus on limiting the amount of processed and junk food that you're having. A lot of the food that people eat today are full of what we call empty calories. They count towards your calorie budget, but they don't actually do anything for you. You want to eat as much whole, nutrient-dense food as you can. These are going to give you more energy, optimize your gut health, and boost your immune system. Golden rule number 4 is that you want your diet to be quick and easy. You want to be able to make all of your meals from scratch in 20 minutes or less. Listen, I don't have time for 3-hour recipes, and I doubt you do either. And golden rule number 5 is probably the most important of them all. You want to enjoy your diet. You want your food to be downright delicious, because if you don't love what you eat, you won't stick to it. So for this one, remember the 80-20 rule. 80% of your food to fuel you, and have 20% of your food for fun. You want to find snacks and treats that you can eat every day which satisfy your sweet tooth and make you feel like you're cheating on your diet, because that's going to stop you going off the rails and binging at the weekends. Listen, I'm not here to BS you. It will take a little bit of time and a little bit of trial and error to build this system into your life. But to give you a head start and make it easier for you, I've got a gift for you. I've literally just put the finishing touches on my brand new recipe book. I am no master chef. I am not claiming to be one. But these 15 fat-burning meals that I've included in this recipe book tick all of the boxes that we just went through. They're quick, they're easy, they're healthy, they're high in protein, but most important, they're delicious. I call it the Anti-Diet Recipe Book, and you can grab your free copy by clicking the link under this video. I'm gonna leave the video here. I really hope you enjoyed it, but more importantly, I hope you found it useful. Until next time, cheers.